All right, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. As you can tell, it looks like I'm ready to do a play-by-play. I'm in a different area for this episode, just not away from home. So I got the big headset on, but we got another good recruiting video for you guys today. I know this is one of our probably our most popular topic. Everyone seems to love it. You guys really loved the last video. We were asking you guys, we need to set a goal of 4,000 subscribers before the spring game. And gosh, as we're recording this, we're like 39, 36 or something like that. We're almost already at 4,000. So we're going to keep that goal. I think we're going to smash it. So if you hadn't already, hit the subscribe button, like the video, turn that notification bell on. Only like 13% of our subscribers have that notification bell on. We're pretty consistent with posting 3 days a week, but sometimes we mess up and we move it around. So you need to keep that bell on to let you know when we're going to be posting. And so if you hadn't already, hit that button, share the video, on Facebook, Twitter, anything. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. And, for you guys doing that, stick around for the end of video challenge. We are giving away spring game tickets. We're giving away one more pair of tickets, and this one will be in the Santee Lounge, so it'll be at the club level. And so if you want to be entered for a chance to win, you'll have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell, like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter, and then stick around for Brandon's end of video challenge. As you can tell, he struggles he spelled Denver right, but his board doesn't look great. It's another stop on his road trip. He wants to know probably a good food stop. Seemed like he got a good suggestion on the last video in Boise. And so you want to comment on that. I don't know if that's the end of video challenge, but I'm just guessing that he's going to want to be a part of it. So, but today we're going to cover little Dylan Edwards, a couple 2025 prospects that have come on campus, Makari Vickers, Stacy Gage, Jeremiah Beeman, and Jacoby Johnson and Tyler Turner. So we've got quite a few guys to talk about, and we'll get into it now. So, on our last video, we talked about Dylan Edwards. We're not going to really go in depth on him because we already talked about him, but he's been confirmed to visit this weekend. Again, he's a 3-star, extremely athletic, versatile, and like a Deuce Vaughn 2.0. He's coming on campus, I believe, for his second visit. Jose or Brandon, do you guys have anything to say about him or think anything of him? All right. Well, I know we're excited about him since OU lost out on Campbell. It looks like they're going to try to take two running backs in this 2023 class, and I feel like Dylan Edwards is going to be one of the two. OU also hosted this week a couple 2025 prospects in Jamarian Ficklin and Kelvion Riggins. One's from Muskogee and the other one's from South Oak Cliff, Texas. It's hard to believe that we're already having 2025 guys visit. They're freshmen right now. But before you know it, the 2025 class is going to be here. Jose, Brandon, do you guys have anything to say about them? I don't think we need to really go in depth. I mean, these are freshmen in high school, and we're years away.
It's crazy. They're more excited about getting their driver's license probably than their potential college for football. And who knows? I mean, I'm sure they're good, but who knows if they're going to be that good once they get to the varsity level. Like you said, they're just freshmen. So I'm sure it was cool for them, though, to get to visit. I mean, it's unofficial. It's not like it hurt anyone, but it's just ridiculous to be recruiting 15-year-olds.
I bet you they're playing varsity football if they're getting recruited already, even though they're freshmen. They're playing varsity. I'd venture to bet. But, yeah, I mean, it's exciting for them. But, yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me how early these kids start to get recruited. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times if you're good enough, you're starting to get looks in 8th grade, which is.
Did you guys see Sam Darnold on Bussin' with the Boys? He was talking about like offers and like to some, obviously it's now like better understood how kids get offered and how that whole process works. But it's not like he's that old, right? It wasn't that long ago that he went into college. He said that going into like this entire recruiting thing, coaches just will offer you off of minimal to no knowledge just because they want to be the first one in front of you. I think he said it as a freshman. He started the last 2 games because the starting quarterback was hurt. And Utah offered him based on a little bit of tape they saw from that 2 games and a couple snaps from a camp that he attended. Like, it's cool and all, but like, how much do you know about this player at this point? You're just trying to be one of the first people in to establish a relationship. There's so much time for them to just grow. They're probably going to be another 4 or 5 inches taller by the time they turn 18.
Well, it's just like getting in on a bet early. If the line is good and you hammer it when it's good, and then midweek or late on the week it shifts, and then you're like, damn, I'm glad I got in on it early. It's the same. It's a similar concept, maybe not the exact same, but
it's a very positive take.
It's similar, yeah, because
buy the stock low, right?
Yeah,
and it's low.
You got to buy high, sell low. That's what I learned about stocks.
Yeah, well, stocks only go up, right? So, I mean, it's hard to believe, but it'll be here before we know it. But they're not the first 2025 prospects to be on campus. Over the last few weeks. Brent Venables and his staff are really looking in the future. So, but we'll get into a little bit more of kids that are closer to committing and signing in the 2023 and 2024 classes. 2023 will be for Makari Vickers. He's a 6'1", 180-pound cornerback from Tallahassee, Florida. 2023 4-star, number 112 overall, number 6 safety in the class. We talked about him a little bit on a couple videos ago. Of his upcoming visit for junior days. He was there for 5 days, seemed to go really well. And Jay Valai was his lead recruiter at Alabama and has him in a great spot. And it looks like he's coming back for the Champ U barbecue, or at least he's planning to. It's hard to believe that OU's in a great spot. I mean, I guess it's not overly ridiculous to think about, but Tallahassee, Florida, he lives there. You got Florida State. I'm assuming, and it seems to be like they would be the leader in this scenario, with him being right down the street from them. Florida State's put some great cornerbacks in the league, in somewhat recent memory. So with Derwin James and with Jalen Ramsey, there's been a couple good ones that have come out somewhat recently. So I feel like Florida State is going to be the odds-on favorite to land him, or maybe in Alabama. I don't know, but Brandon, what do you think about Vickers and the chances? It seemed like the visit went really well.
Well, Tallahassee is like the armpit of Florida. So maybe that's why he doesn't want to live in Tallahassee / why he doesn't want to go to Florida State. And I can't blame him. Plus Florida State, I mean, let's like, I dog on every single team that we talk about on this show. And I will always do that. But like, if we're talking about Florida State specifically, like legitimately, like without, I mean, it's shit talking, it really is. But like, when was the last time Florida State was good? With Jameis, with Jameis, that they won a chip or got to the title game, but it feels like ever since Jameis left that program, they have just gone down a hill, and they're horrible. So he doesn't want to be there. Hell, the number 1 kid in the country who was a shoo-in to go to Florida State decided he'd rather play at Jackson State than go to the armpit of Florida. So I did take on Tallahassee and Florida State being the favorite. If he doesn't want to go there, he probably can't wait to get the hell out of Tallahassee. So Alabama, I feel like, is more of a threat than is Florida State. But the fact that he's coming back again so short, so soon, I guess, is an encouraging sign. As a prospect, he's awesome. I mean, there's a lot to like already, because what is he? He's obviously he's a sophomore. So he's 6'1", 180 as a sophomore, but likely as sophomores, you're not done growing, or at least getting bigger and, size like that. So it's very possible by the time he graduates high school and he's actually playing at the college level, he could be naturally 6'2.5" and almost 200 pounds. And he's
a junior.
Yeah, he's a junior.
My bad. Well, shit. He's probably closer to being full done, but either way, he's got great size, great speed. He runs track in high school too. There's a lot to like as a prospect, and hopefully when he comes back for the Lincoln Riley Sucks annual barbecue, he'll have a good time and he'll like it.
Yeah, I think when we first brought him up, I think I had mentioned that it seems like the reason that we're in this recruiting battle is because of Coach Valai, which is, I think, probably the biggest reason why he was hired as our coach. And And I mean, he definitely brings something outside of that. He's obviously, from the videos, he seems like he has a lot of great energy. He's coaching the position that he played in college, which there's a lot of things to like. I think I've expressed my reservations about him enough, but he's a great recruiter. And this guy, if he likes him and they have a good relationship, I hope that it continues and we end up in like a top 2 or 3 situation where it really may just come down to, hopefully it's not anything but NIL, but it may just come down to position. Like, where am I going to be put in a position to succeed quicker? I would say that it's Oklahoma right now, just because Alabama is always stacked at any position on the defensive side of the ball. So it's really going to be a guy that, if they go to Alabama, they're trying to pretty much beat out whatever competition they have, which there's definitely players like that. But he might be a guy that just wants to see the field as soon as possible. And I think Oklahoma would give him that, for the position that he's playing as a safety. So there's definitely going to be a lot of back and forth. If he ends up somehow going to Florida State, I don't think they're the favorites personally, just because he's, hometown. And it's because they do suck. I think Brandon hit it right on the nail. It's not just trash talking because we don't like the school. They genuinely are bad at football. And they don't seem to want to turn it around for whatever reason. They've had multiple opportunities to pull Deion Sanders over. He wanted that job, that head coaching job, when it was last available. They could have fired their current head coach, but they ended up extending him instead of bringing in Deion, and that costed him the number 1 player. I mean, there's still a chance that they, for some reason, change their minds at the end of the season and fire their head coach and try to bring Deion on as their head coach. I don't see him making that move right now. It seems like he's really passionate about being the head coach of a historically Black university. He's building something there. He's got a lot of good recruits. And I don't think he wants to hurt the university, but he will make that move at some point. It's just going to be a matter of when and where. And FSU should probably consider making that move sooner rather than later if they want to have any shot at getting big recruits like this guy.
Yeah, and he very well might get relieved of his duties if you see Vickers leave, because he's literally in their backyard. You can't let a guy like him leave. But, at the end of the day, you just have to follow the visits. And if the Champ U barbecue or the annual Lincoln Riley Sucks barbecue that Brandon likes to call it, if he shows up for that, I really think the OU will be in a really good spot. It won't be just talk. I mean, he was there for 5 days. It has to say something. So we'll move on to another kid who also visited for the junior days, Stacy Gage, 5'11", 200-pound running back from the IMG Academy. He's originally from Oklahoma, 2024 5-star, number 30 overall, number 2 running back in the class. We've talked about him. He grew up in Oklahoma. He ended up moving down to Tampa and went to the IMG Academy, where he's at right now with David Stone, a couple of Oklahoma boys. He came back for the junior day, had a great visit. Seems like OU's his dream school. He'll probably come back and visit maybe for the Champ U barbecue or sometime this summer. I feel like OU is the team to beat. He seems to be tweeting about OU on his social media pages. I would just caution, we've seen this before where someone's committed for a year or two, or maybe not even committed, but the perceived leader, and then last second, he flips somewhere else. And I feel like Gage is OU's to lose. And as long as DeMarco Murray stays and Levy's offense does what it's supposed to do, I feel like there's no reason why Stacy Gage will not be a Sooner at the end of the day. Jose, what do you think?
I agree with everything you just said. The more I watch his tape, the more I like him. He runs exactly like Joe Mixon does, which he was probably the last great running back coming out of Oklahoma. I know Ramondre had a really good season, but Ramondre is not Joe Mixon. Even P. Ryan has struggled in the NFL. I think Stacy could actually very much be a Joe Mixon in college and at the pro level, just with how good he is at bouncing off tackles. He's not he's not big in regards to stature, but he runs as if he were huge, and he will mow through you or just dodge you and juke you, out of your shoes. So he's got the versatility to be a bell cow back. So that I think that's why I like him the most. If he were to come to Oklahoma, wherever he goes, but hopefully Oklahoma, he can be put in a position where you're going to take all of the snaps or 85% of the snaps, and we'll just bring in someone to relieve you when you take off for a 50-yard run and you need a break for a quick breather. He seems like that kind of running back, and that I think that's what we should expect out of him because he's got that kind of talent.
Yeah, kind of echo Hose. His tape is awesome. If you haven't seen it, you just simply go to 24/7 Sports, Stacy Gage, and his tape, it jumps at you. He's very athletic, very fun to watch. I think Joe Mixon is a pretty good comp. What I get most excited about, I personally think Oklahoma's a favorite, as you mentioned, Bro. And I certainly hope we can just close the deal on him. I think he does want to be a Sooner. What excites me, because I think Javonte Barnes has legitimate opportunity to play this year, but I guess in an ideal world, Eric Gray and Marcus Major are enough to keep him on the bench, I guess, because the possibility of Stacy Gage and Javonte Barnes as a 1-2 in 2024 is really exciting thought to me, with probably Javonte Barnes at that lead back, but Stacy Gage as a change of pace. That can be the new age Joe and Samaje, which is the last time. Not that we haven't had really, really good running backs, but the last really, really great 1-2 punch that I think we all loved was Samaje and Joe. And I think these Gage and Javonte Barnes, and plus, there's a slew of running backs that I think could make up a really good 1-2 punch that we're looking at in recruiting and stuff like that. But Gage and Barnes specifically has me pretty excited.
Yeah, it's a long ways away. I'd imagine we'll see him come take multiple unofficial visits. And if OU can keep getting him on campus, this also has huge implications of Gage and then David Stone being at the IMG Academy. I think it has huge implications as OU prepares to move in the SEC. They can start that IMG pipeline and also get some great prospects out of there in the 2023 and 2024 classes. So, and in the future. So some pretty good stuff to be excited about, and something that we'll definitely be watching. We'll move on to the next kid that we have not talked about before on this is Jeremiah Beeman, 6'4", 265-pound defensive lineman from Birmingham, Alabama. Another kid from the Crimson Tide State and the War Eagles State. 2024 4-star, number 195 overall, number 16 defensive lineman in the class. OU offered him on his visit for junior day. Todd Bates is his lead recruiter. Imagine that, a defensive lineman. But, Bates is from the state of Alabama. It's his connections with the state is paying off tremendously. Beeman's planning to turn around and come back for the spring game already, with his family and I believe his trainer. So he's not wasting any time. Brandon, what do you think about him? And really the overall implications of the 2023 and 2024 classes. I feel like everywhere we turn in every video that we make, we're talking about a 4 or 5-star along this defensive line. I feel like at this point we're going to run out of spaces for all of the kids that really want to come play for Bates and Venables.
It's a tremendous problem to have. I love the 2023, 2024, whatever. Yeah, 2024, 23. The best part about it is we're talking about the D line every single time with these kids. And as we've mentioned, it's the name of our show. That's what wins football games. It's both a defensive and offensive line. I wish we had a little bit more 5-star offensive line on the 24 side that we're talking about, 23 side that we're talking about. We talk about Caden Green, and there are some coming, but the defensive line is going to be just disgusting. With you got Beeman potentially, you've got as you mentioned David Stone, who I think we're all very, very confident about. T.A. Cunningham, who we're all very, very confident about. It's scary to think about what that line can look like in 2 or 3 years.
And then there's Nigel Smith, another 5-star. Helvin Brown Schuler, I think they're both 5-stars in the 2024 class. It's ridiculous.
No, yeah, and not even. DJ Hicks, he's it's absurd what they are building there, and the possibility of having them all on the same defensive line is stupid, but it's a lot of fun. And I think some of them, T.A. Cunningham and David Stone specifically, are pretty much a lock in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of defensive line guys commit sooner than we've typically seen. Now, I think overall we're going to see people commit a little later than normal. We're probably not going to see a whole slew of commits during the middle of the summer unless they're either going to be 100% intended as early enrollees. We're probably going to see a lot more people commit in like the September, October area, what I suspect. But yeah, this guy is just an example of Todd Bates being able to put himself in a position to recruit any defensive lineman he wants, no matter where they're ranked, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, whatever. He will be in position to get him to commit to Oklahoma, which is why I believe Todd Bates is probably one of the only coaches that we can't lose, and from the assistant coaches, because how good he is at coaching and developing in his recruiting. Like Brandon said, the reason we're called Two Plane Sports is because we believe that you win in the trenches, and getting 1 through 5 5-star players interested in playing at Oklahoma is going to be big. Just their interest alone is going to drive more kids to want to look into Oklahoma. Then once we start getting them to commit, we'll start seeing a lot more, 23, 24, 25, and so on. Again, as long as we have Bates in the picture, we'll have a lot of big boys trying to commit to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe, and it's something that with the last staff we never really had the luxury of. But another thing that Bates is going to be able to offer these kids, from the state of Alabama, Georgia. Hey, OU's going to the SEC, especially by the time you're here, whether you're 23 or 24, you're going to be able to go play at Alabama or at Auburn or Ole Miss. We're going to be coming back to your area. Your family can come see you play. And I think that's going to be a big leg up to get these kids to come in. And you're playing in the SEC. It's the best conference in football, and every big-time player, honestly, any player in high school wants to play in the SEC. So it's pretty exciting. Hopefully he comes back on campus like he says he's going to, and brings his family, and they just keep the ball rolling with him. We'll move on to another kid, another defensive player. I feel like all these videos recently we're talking about defensive players, and not that the offensive side isn't recruiting well, because it is, but there's just so many defensive players. As Jacoby Johnson, 6'3", 183-pound athlete from Mustang, Oklahoma, 2023 4-star, number 129 overall, number 13. He's labeled as an athlete, but OU's recruiting him as a defensive back, I believe a cornerback. He visited this week, seemed to enjoy the visit. Mustang's not too far away. What is a half hour, 45 minutes maybe, if that. And, he just came down for a visit during this week. And I feel like Jay Valai has put OU in a great spot for him. He, to me, is the Josh Proctor of this class. I would be devastated if OU let this great defensive back prospect out of the state and go play for someone else. I mean, he got offered by Alabama, in February. You can't let a kid like him get out of our own backyard. And I feel like OU is going to do a good job. I would hope that he'll be coming for the spring game, considering he's right down the road. Jose, what do you think about Jacoby Johnson? I think he's got a lot of potential and someone we've got to have in this class.
Yeah, definitely. And if Oklahoma does lose him, I don't think it'll be because of lack of effort. Just he wanted to leave Oklahoma. He saw he had a better relationship somewhere else, but it seems like Oklahoma's got a lot of good, how do I say it? A big lead with him, and a lot of good conversations have been happening with him. He did get a crystal ball from Drum exactly a month ago. And then a year ago, one from Thune, which that one's a little bit outdated because things change all the time recruiting, but the one from Drum seems, with how recent it is, I think that's kind of the only indication we really have of his recruitment at the moment. But I mean, it's like you said, he should definitely be able. He is close enough that he should attend the spring game, and hopefully they've extended an invite and he'll accept it and just make the drive over to Norman like 30 or 40 minutes away, but the kid is very talented and not a guy that we should, be too worried about. But if there's a school like Alabama or another big blue blood that's out there searching for a defensive back, then there may be a little bit of caution that we should take in his recruitment, because any blue blood's going to have a compelling argument as to why a 4 or 5 star athlete should attend their university. Oklahoma's got to make sure to keep him at home.
Yeah, I was actually in Mustang today. As you guys know, and those of you who watch the show long enough know, I work Mustang high school football games every Friday. So I have the luxury, I guess you could say, of watching Jacoby Johnson firsthand all the time, but especially with the past 2 seasons, starting when he was a freshman is when I first started watching him, and now obviously I just finished his junior year here. Sophomore year. I've only been doing it for 2 years. So yeah, as a sophomore is when I first started watching him play. But I've been there almost his whole high school career. He did pick up an offer recently from Alabama. So he does have that on the table. And as far as I feel like Oklahoma kind of was slacking with his recruitment, just from the Mustang people that I talked to. I met with one of the directors. I guess this is one of the positions of the Mustang broadcast that I do every game with tonight. I went to his house and we were talking a little bit about Jacoby Johnson, and I think Oklahoma kind of slacked a little bit in his recruitment process, maybe thinking that it is almost a shoo-in, and we kind of maybe just ignored him a little bit. But it was good to see him on campus this weekend. Eric McCarty posted a pretty cool graphic that they made of them two together. And it said "come on home" or something. But Jacoby Johnson is everything you mentioned. He is as advertised. You mentioned him as a defensive player. He's a great DB, but he's just as explosive and just as dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's kind of a guy. Trying to think of a current player on the roster that could be a good comparison. Maybe like a Billy Bowman-esque.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Jacoby Johnson's a guy that I don't want to see. If we do decide to make him a defensive, as you mentioned, it looks as that is the way he's being recruited. He's a guy that we need to take heavy consideration in as a punt returner, kick returner, something. He's a guy that needs to have the ball in his hands, in my opinion, just from seeing what he can do at the high school level. I've seen the guy take a 3-yard swing pass and go 85. I've seen him take a handoff and have 3 people in the backfield on him and do some Houdini shit like Madden and take it 45. He is as advertised if you live in the Norman Mustang area. Obviously, this, especially if you live in Mustang. The kid's special. I agree. He's a kid we don't want to lose. I'm very excited to shoot him for his last year of high school, and hopefully I'll bring you guys some highlights.
Yeah, that'd be good. He's also a basketball star. I mean, the kid's great at basketball, so he's just an all-around great athlete. So hopefully someone that OU can lock down. I would really like to see him at the spring game, and I'd expect him to be there unless he's visiting somewhere else. But so last guy we're going to talk about is Tyler Turner, 6 foot, 180-pound safety from San Antonio. We haven't talked about him. He's a 2023 safety. He's a 3-star. He announced via his Twitter that he'll be visiting not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, April 15th. He got an offer from OU on March 1st. I believe, at the time he was committed to Baylor, and then he decommitted, I believe, about a week after OU's offer. And since his decommitment, he's picked up an offer from Ole Miss, Auburn, USC, and Michigan State. Seems like he's starting to get picked up more and more in the recruiting cycle. I kind of wonder if, when Baylor offered, he kind of jumped on it and locked in his spot, and then didn't really realize how much potential and how many other big-time schools were going to offer him. And I think he started to realize that once OU, Ole Miss, and Auburn started coming with offers, he was like, oh, man, I gotta open this back up and see what I've got. But he's planning to be a visitor. Again, the safety position I feel like is a huge priority for the Sooners. And getting him on campus, I know he's a 3-star, but the way he kind of finished his last season, the way he's getting picked up in this recruiting cycle already, it's kind of, it's just getting started, but I feel like he has the potential to be a 4-star. He's a 3-star now, but I really feel like his size and his abilities really, he might be a little underrated. Brandon, what do you think about Tyler Turner? I know we haven't talked about him on this podcast, but I feel like it's someone we're going to have to watch coming up.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's another kid that has all the tools to be good. I think great size, great speed. He can be great. I think what you just brought up is a little bit concerning, and especially if it's true, because it makes sense. What you're saying is, he commits to Baylor. I hope he wasn't just committing to Baylor because it was like, holy hell, I got offered by, a pretty big D1 program, a Power 5 program, the Big 12. They offered me, I should take this. And then, as you mentioned, Oklahoma starts offering, Auburn starts offering, some of the bigger schools start offering. And then he realizes how good he can be, or then he realizes potential. Because that's concerning. If he just didn't believe in himself like that, because to me, what that says is if he does commit to Oklahoma or anywhere, if that's the reason, and then again, I don't know the kid personally, we don't know at all. It makes sense what you're saying, but if that is the reason why, if that's truly the reason why, is he jumped on Baylor because they were the first offer and he was excited, and he thought there was no getting better than this, and that's why he committed to Baylor. That's scary because if he does end up coming to Oklahoma, if he has a couple of bad reps or bad games or bad practices, whatever, he's going to be down on himself. Because to me, it shows a lack of self belief, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Again, if that's the reason, it could also just very well be it's exciting. He got a huge offer and then he was young and just jumped all over it. You never know.
So I checked his 247 timeline after you had brought up that he was committed to Baylor, because I wasn't aware of that. So he got offered by Baylor, and that, according to the timeline, that was his first offer last summer in June. He committed this year in January. So even it was his biggest offer at the time. His other offers were Rice, UTSA, Texas Tech, and SMU. So it wasn't his only Power 5, but it was his biggest. I think, kind of go just based on the timeline, right? Again, not knowing him personally, it might have just been Baylor just got to the Big 12 title game. They almost fought for a playoff spot. Their defense looked really good last year under Aranda. The defensive backs look really good. I mean, they have a guy, I think his name's Jalen Petrie. I think he's going to the draft this year after no one really knowing who he is, and now he might be a decent draft pick. And their defensive backs made some noise with being really fast during the combine. So there's a lot of good things coming out of Baylor on the defensive side of the ball. That might have been why he committed so soon, and then all of this stuff came. Because right after he committed, 3 days later, he got an offer from TCU. 9 days after that came Texas, then Houston, then Utah, then and so on. And Oklahoma offered at the beginning of March, and now he's got Michigan State, USC, Ole Miss, Auburn. So he's got SEC, pretty much schools from every conference now looking at him after being kind of overlooked. And I think that what Brum said with how his recruitment is picking up over this cycle, teams are starting to see him. He probably was kind of that diamond in the rough kind of guy where he might have been overlooked because of where he plays or the division of high school football that he plays. But now he's being noticed. I think it's good that he decommitted because now he is able to take all these visits. Not that he wouldn't have been on the other hand, but it's going to be probably a little bit more calming, more enjoyable to feel free during every visit that he takes to whatever school he goes to, because he won't have to think about how he's got to break the news to Coach Aranda or his position coach at Baylor. Right now, he's just going to figure out where he wants to be. And maybe Baylor still has a good position in his overall recruitment, but there are a lot of schools now vying for his services. And it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being a 4-star at the end of his, the 247 rankings or recruiting rankings overall, because it seems like everything is picking up for him, which, awesome for this kid.
Yeah. I mean, it's someone that we're going to have to watch. He's probably realizing that he could go play at a bigger program. Again, we don't know him, but it's just from the outside looking in. I can't blame the kid for trying to lock in a spot, but he just probably realized that, hey, maybe I could go play in the SEC. I could go play, bigger time program. My might be worth it. And I don't blame him. I'd rather decommit. You might as well be decommitted. If you're going to go to all these visits, just be free and just go do it and just figure out what you want, because you could always commit back to Baylor if you really want to. So I don't blame him. I would have decommitted as well, so I could have gone elsewhere. Again, maybe I wouldn't have committed in the first place, but I understand, probably really excited, a lot of good momentum, like you guys were saying. So it's just something to watch. I think the safety position is going to be a really strong position here over the next few years. So, but that's all I've got for you guys today to talk about. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we roll into your end of video challenge, Brandon?
Nope. And Brum, yeah, you ruined the end of video challenge at the beginning of the video. As you guys know who watched the last end of video, on Saturday, I will be in Boise, Idaho. Very excited about it, just to check out Boise. I'm going to go to Diablo & Sons Saloon. It was suggested in the comments, and it looks pretty cool. I'm excited. Jose and I were in Denver on Valentine's weekend. We took a romantic trip out there together. Had a blast. But we can't see everything. You know what I mean? We were only there for a weekend. Those of you who might know the Denver area better, I will be in Denver Sunday. So Boise, Idaho Saturday, Denver Sunday. Where Denver food? What food? It's all about food. Where do I need to eat in Denver? I know some of y'all have been to Denver. So hit the Denver comments.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave it away, by the board. I just kind of put 2 and 2 together. But if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We're almost to 4,000. Let's smash that goal. Let's get it this weekend, this upcoming weekend, and let's get it done, way ahead of schedule. And we really appreciate it. I mean, we ask you guys keep delivering. If you hadn't already, if you want to enter in for the free ticket giveaway, you'll have to like this video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, either like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, or both is great as well. And then just comment that you've done it, and do Brandon's end of video challenge. And then we'll announce the winner on Monday, the 18th, and give you guys some great tickets away and pack the palace. So we'll catch you guys next time for on Monday. We'll be doing another Who Dat, so be sure to keep an eye out on that.